Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Black Coffee, Honey, and Grits. And ladies, we are the Black Coffee. Our lips drip with honey, and sometimes we got a little bit of grit. And I have an idea that we may have a little bit with this topic tonight. But we've always got sass, class, and all that as y'all. So listen, tonight we're going to talk about, do wealthy Black men want white women, or do Black men want more white women than Black women, or do they date them more? I don't know. We're just going to kind of develop this as we go. But I'm Dr. Jamesia, the nurse practitioner extraordinaire. I'm also your intermittent fasting and mindset coach, YouTube influencer, speaker, author, all the things. And I'm going to pass it on over to you, Carmel. The mic is yours.
Thank you. I'm Coach Carmel, owner and founder and CEO of CFIT Coaching, working with those who might have extra cravings to sugar. And I help them adapt a whole food, plant-based lifestyle in order to keep that in check. And I'm here to encourage everybody to add more plants to your plate. Go ahead, Maisha.
Hello, everybody. I'm Maisha, and I'm 1/3 of Black Coffee, Honey, and Grits.
All right, y'all. So tonight we're going to talk about this topic. We had a reel. Maisha sent a reel out, and we looked at it and we were like, you know what? Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this reel. So I'm going to pass it back to you, Maisha. Kind of tell us about the reel, and let's just go on and get the conversation started.
Yeah, so it was. It came across my feed, and I thought it was interesting because the young man was speaking. He was part of this podcast that was happening. He was speaking with two women. And he was saying how there's this impression based on social media and the media that Black men are pursuing white women more, or that Black men don't like Black women. And so then he threw out some statistics. And of course, I had to go and look them up to just to be sure, because I like to do my own research. But if you look at just what's thrown in our faces, it would give this impression that Black men do not like us. And what he was saying was that's absolutely false. That's not the truth. In actuality, only about, as I looked, roughly 8% of Black men marry white women. So most Black men are marrying Black women. You don't see them because they're going about their business. They are with their families, they are with their wives, they are doing whatever they're doing in the community or at home, but we only know what we see. And the reason why I thought it was interesting is because we need more of those messages, because there's so much propaganda on the other side. And this is really what struck me, is that tries to tear us apart. And when people look at social media too much, or media in general, they think that's what life is. And they stop looking even at their own families and their own communities. And what do you see in your community, right? So that's why I thought it was interesting. And I wanted to talk about it, just because I wanted to let people know, no, Black men are still marrying Black women. Black women are still marrying Black men. Yes, there are people who marry other races, but for the most part, we are still solid with each other. And folks need to just understand that.
So, Maisha, my perception of the video was that he was saying that, and I have to go back and watch it. He was saying that as Black men get into a different price bracket or whatever, they were dating or marrying more white women. They were not marrying Black women. But I have to go back and watch it, because that's what I thought it was saying. But I'm glad you cleared that up, because in my mind, Black men were preferring other races in my mind. And I guess that's because maybe of social messaging, of subliminal messaging. But honestly, when I think about it, in my group, in my circle, Black men are married women. The Black women I know that are married to Black men. So, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. So he mentioned Scottie Pippen in the video.
He did.
Right. And he said that's the example that's thrown out in the world. Like, and see, this is what Black men are doing. But even wealthy Black men are still marrying Black women. They're not. Now, our marriage rates have gone down. there's a lot of different factors to that.
Or in general, black people,
Mhm.
black couples in general.
Yeah.
And Maisha, not to cut you off, but when you said that even the wealthy black men are still marrying black women, is that part of the 8% that you initially mentioned?
Yes, 8% of black men, not
Including
of black
the
men who are
wealthy
middle
men.
class, not of black men who are, you know, underserved. No, 8% of black men are marrying outside of their race. Now, might those 8% be largely wealthy? They might
Right,
be,
right, right,
right?
right.
But it's still only 8%.
It's such a small percentage. I thought it was bigger than that.
I did too. I feel like I see them everywhere.
Right. And so and this is the larger conversation of other statistics I've been hearing lately, and it made me realize that, well, we only believe what we think we see.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't actually look at numbers because numbers don't lie.
Mm-hmm.
So now, again, we're not getting married as often. So again, 8% of black men and about 3% of black women had a white spouse. Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's and I was trying to find like different years, but that seems to be the general consensus even up until like 2020 or or something like that. Let me see, about 54% of white folks were married versus 31% of the black population. Only 27% of the white population had never been married versus about half of the black population have never been married. But white people have a slightly higher rate of divorce.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We don't get divorced, we just separate.
Well, you know what? When I thought about what he said in the reel or whatever, the video, I was like, you know what? I used to really care. I used to really care that black men were dating other than black women, right? I used to care. And then I'm like, I don't know what switched. But now I'm like, okay, free love. Just love who you love. I don't care. I don't. However, in my house, it's gonna be, I'm not
Black
and I'm
on black on black.
black on black on black, right? But I am also seeing a lot of black women with other races. And in my mind, I'm like, well, yeah, that's because this is my own, my own little synopsis. But yeah, that's because all the black men are with white women or with other women. So black women have to do something. They're not gonna just, So yeah, of course I'm giving, us an out because of them. But since you say now it's only 8%, that's just interesting.
No, I love that statistic and I love knowing that too. And I do see a lot of black couples. I see them younger, I see them older across the board. I see a lot of interracial couples as well. And I know I have a couple of them in my family, even, like I have my cousin who married an Asian woman, right? So I have a few of those different kind of things as well. But no, it's interesting. And again, not like you, Dr. Jamesia, it's kind of like, yeah, love who you love. And as long as you're true to you, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I love what Ate said. Interracial dating is likely more common than interracial marrying, but we are probably conflating the two. Yeah, I think that there are lots of people dating all kinds of everybody, but when it comes down to who they actually get married to, people get married to the folks in their tribe. I've had family members who have dated white people for years, married to a black woman.
Me too.
Right? At the end of the day.
Listen, I had a cousin like that. All he dated was Asian, white, whatever. And all of a sudden, happily married to a black woman with kids. I'm like, what happened? Did not see that coming, but.
And I think that's what we see. I think we might see a lot of dating, but I don't think that we see a lot of marriage, because that's So it takes a lot. I don't think people understand it looks. See, it looks pretty when you're looking at it like on somebody's Instagram reel, right? And I see a lot of those interracial couples with their kids, and you would think that, oh my God, that's so many people, and it's not. It takes a lot to get involved in interracial dating, and I don't have any science behind it, but I'm sure that generally one or the other gets folded in or assimilated to the other's culture.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Because it's too much friction to try and stay on this side or the other. So, Black women, for instance, married to white men, but I see that they seem to be floating in a lot of white communities.
Yeah.
Right? And or and I know in the South still there's still some, there's interracial dating, but a lot of those white women will be like Black, but just with white skin. And so I think that that's interesting. And knowing the people, I've known people who have done the interracial dating, that family did not like it. It caused a lot of stress. People were treated as less than. And that's a lot to have to say, I love you more than any of that, and I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. So dating, sure. Marriage?
That's a good point. That's a good point, right? Because it's changing the family dynamic. If you do have children, you have to think about what the children will go through. I remember my mom watching some Oprah Winfrey show with an interracial child, like she's the offspring of an interracial marriage. And I remember coming home, I had not seen this episode. My mother said, please don't get married to a white man. I was like, what are you talking about? And only because she was hearing the trials and tribulations that the children were going through. She's like, I don't care who you're dating right now, but don't do that to the kids. But just like what you said, Maisha, couples do get assimilated into one of the environments, right? And I know I dated a lot of white men or men of other races, and it's because I was floating around in the white cultures. I knew exactly how to speak with anybody, especially if they had questions about who I was dating or whatever. But it was coming around in the Black neighborhoods and my family that felt most uncomfortable. Like I felt accepted by them, even though behind closed doors, who knew what they were saying about me? Like, you better not put a ring on her finger. But I don't know what they were saying, but I felt more comfortable over there than on my side, because on my side they were like, you better not, right? So
yeah, there are a lot of families that'll be like, oh, it's cool, you're dating, that's nice. Yeah. And you talk about, so I'm gonna marry this person, and it's like, I thought you were just playing around. Like, that's
right. This ain't serious for real.
Right. You just do what you're doing, but don't. And I'm sure I know I told this story when we were on Clubhouse, but when I had met this guy on the telephone lines, and I thought he was Black. And when I met him, well, beforehand, I found out he was white, and I was like, oh my gosh, but I agreed to meet him. So I met him, and we went to the movies, and I was just completely uncomfortable. I was like 21, 22, completely uncomfortable. And when he asked to take me home, I was like, absolutely not. Like, I cannot bring you
up in Harlem, sir.
I was like, I'm not. I knew the dudes hanging outside. Like, there was no way I could bring this guy back to my block. So that was it. He was from Queens, so he just felt like he had all these friends that were Indian and Asian, and I'm like, yeah. But when everybody grew up, those Indian children and the Asian children were gonna go marry the Indian and the Asian children,
marrying their own.
Y'all could all be friends. Marriage is not the same thing. All right. Yes, particularly in these contentious, divisive times, which I would love to be a fly on the wall for some of these conversations that some people have to have behind closed doors. And that's something that I used to think about. Like you, Dr. Jamesia, I mean, I was not, look, I was raised in a nation of Islam. I think that says all it needs to say. But I was not a fan of of interracial dating, and especially going to an all-white high school. I was disgusted and offended by the fact that, you know, the few Black students that were there would choose to go outside. I mean, in my mind, I'm thinking we're all supposed to stick together over here. Like, why would you do that? So I realized, I mean, looking back now, that's just teenagers. Part of that just teenagers being teenagers, right? You're in a situation, it's just different, and it's boarding school. So you're all living together. It's a little different. But yeah, it wasn't until I got older and well after I had my children that I was like, you know, it might be a little rough going finding your person. So whoever you find is who you find. Interestingly enough, as my children are getting older and looking at the world, even though they were all like Disney Channel, you know, they're kind of like, yeah, no, I don't think I could have these types of conversations with people because Aunt Betty Joe has one time to say something and it's just going to be a problem. So let's just avoid that and have these conversations over here with the Black family, which I know how to deal with. But if Uncle Pete decides to start talking some mess, you know, then our children will never see your family again. So they've started to get to that point and to just say it's just too much stress. Ate says marriage and procreation are certainly escalations. They are. And then the children have to pick a side. Well, not that they have to, but it's like this, I can't imagine this feeling of, I mean, I have felt that way, not even being biracial, but just feeling almost bicultural in a way. So I can't imagine being biracial and bicultural.
Right.
On top of that, right? You know, between Halle Berry and Mariah Carey, and it's like, well, who's Black and who's not? Poor Kamala couldn't catch a break.
Right.
You know, with the interracial Barack, you know, same thing. I just, by the way, it's interesting that the two Black people that were kind of allowed to get that far were not fully Black.
Right.
I find that interesting. You know, I'm just now I'm gonna wait for a full descendant and see what happens.
but so you say that, and just to digress just a little bit, I feel like white America doesn't care that she's blended with something else. White America saw a colored woman. End of story.
Yeah. A vagina and brown.
How about it?
Too.
How about it?
Yeah,
How about it?
Barack got away with it because he was a man.
100%. Yeah.
And so do you know, and I think I've told y'all this, that because of thinking about wealth and the ideas I had in my mind, I assumed that Barack Obama was married to a white woman. I made that assumption because in my mind, I couldn't see how a Black man could be a politician and be down for his people at the same time. I have my own thoughts about politicians, right? And so this Black man running for president, his wife couldn't, or this is like in the preliminary. It wasn't even clear that he was running yet. And his wife's name was Michelle. So I still don't have any context. I'm like, ugh, probably some white woman he's married. He's from Kansas. He grew up in Hawaii.
Nah, she was Black.
Yeah, when I saw her, I was excited. I was like, oh my God. Yes, this is real.
I wonder if I can play the clip.
I'll try it. I don't know.
Let me see if I can play it.
You can present down at the bottom.
And they'll say, look, this is how men behave. Yeah. But that's not the fact. Destroying the Black family has been on the forefront of the mind of the people who created this country. How do you destroy the Black wealth in this country? Destroy the Black family. Make Black women think that Black men don't love them. Make Black men think that Black women don't respect them. That's all a fallacy. It's not true. The older I get, I'm 40 years old now, the more I realize that everything I've learned from mass media has been programmed by people who have an agenda.
That part.
Yeah.
That part. First of all, I chuckled when I first saw it. Is that the older I get, I'm 40 now. I was like, oh,
right.
Oh yeah.
Oh, baby.
Like, wait another 10 years and the world is really going to smack you in the face. But I think that, you know, and a lot of these culture wars are really happening with younger people. Like, we didn't grow up with the internet. So
Right.
I don't think we believe, at least I hope we don't. I don't think we believe the internet as much as young people do,
Right.
because it's all they've had. And it started out kind of real, when you had like MySpace, Facebook first started. It was your real people. And then it morphed into Snapchat and Instagram. I mean, Twitter's over there somewhere, whatever it is now. But I think that for them, and then real world of everything on cable TV, that no one understood was scripted. And I think that they started to get the idea that what they saw was real. And so now they're having these clashes, but it is all by design to keep us separate from each other so that we don't come together and create strong Black families. But then when you find out, and like I said, to check it, when you find out that 92% of Black men are really marrying Black women,
Mm-hmm.
what are you arguing about? And it's the same thing not only do statistics matter, but how we say statistics matter. I grew up hearing 1 in 4 Black men is in jail. 1 in 4 Black men is in jail. That statistic sounds like a lot of Black men are in jail. We don't say 3 out of 4 Black men are not in prison.
Mm-hmm.
3 out of 4 Black men are walking the streets, working and doing other things. The majority of Black men are not in prison. But when you say 1 in 4, it gives this idea that now disproportionately, yes, but that so many of us are in prison, and it makes it seem like there are no choices.
Right, because that's always grouped with saying they're either married to white women, they're in jail, or they're gay.
Right.
So it's always the three. It's a trifecta. The three go together, and that's why we have to just take whatever we can get.
Right.
And that's not fair. That's not fair to our Black men. It's not fair to our Black women. To say things like that and to pass on that lie, right? Because there are plenty of available and good men out there.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing to say, oh well, if he's still single,
Something must be wrong.
something must be wrong with him. And I remember somebody telling that to me about a guy. I was just like, well, what's up with me?
Right.
If you're gonna say that about him, you're saying that about me too.
Right.
What's wrong with me?
And what is that? So first, that piece is that there's this idea that everybody's supposed to be coupled and married by the time they're like 27, 28 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wish people would stop that. I've told my children flat out, and I mean, obviously they can do what they want. I told them, don't even think about sniffing around marriage until you are at least a couple of years away from 30. Do not come to me
33
do not come to, because you don't know yourself. You have no idea what you really want in your 20s. Just don't. No, it's a no for me. Y'all can date. I said it's just a no for me. So there's that idea. And I want to just drop a little for whoever was watching the replay. The reason why these things are so important, I'm going to give y'all a little bit of neuroscience. There's this part of our brain called the reticular activating system. It is responsible for cataloging everything that happens in our life so that we can easily recall information and make our lives just a little bit easier. So the easiest example to give is, for instance, if you purchase a red car, your brain is now primed to see that red car everywhere. Before you had a red car, you didn't see one.
Right.
If you're constantly being fed the idea that Black men are gay in jail or with white women, gay in jail or with white women, when you do go out, your senses will only see the Black men who are gay, just got out of prison, or with white women. Literally, you cannot see the single eligible Black men because your brain has been primed to only look for these things. And then you say, well, there are no good men, because your brain will not let you see it. And that's true for anything in life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's really important when we take in things over and over again, that it does start to become our reality, because our brain will only see. So if I'm looking on social media and I'm constantly seeing Black men and Black women going at it like this, and that's all that I see, and that's all I look for. And I don't see the people who are really getting along. crazy. Oh, hey, Raider Steeler fan. Yes, if more people talk about their own self-care practices rather than someone who lays down in their bedroom with them, the world will be a better place. So sometimes you be coming in the conversation, and I'm like, wait, which one is he talking to? And not that what you're saying is wrong. I'm just trying to connect it to what was said. There are tons of available Black men. So many. Yes, confirmation bias. That is what happens. I believe this, and I see it everywhere.
Yes.
All wealthy Black men marry white women. How do I know? Because I saw Scottie Pippen and then Tyler Perry married somebody. First of all, Tyler Perry got a lot of issues, y'all. Please don't use him as a benchmark for much of anything except for maybe how to build some wealth. Okay. This guy married and these are all celebrities, and celebrities are like 0.00 something percent.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Incredible.
I'll say this and I'll pass the mic to y'all. I was listening to this this radio host on talk radio, and they were saying that a survey went out to Americans and asked them how much of the population they thought were transgender, they thought were Black, they thought were Muslim. These people were like, 32% of the population is transgender, 48% is Black, some extraordinary number is gay. Dude is like, Muslims aren't even like 5% or something like that. Transgender people aren't even a whole 2%. It's the perception that media gives that makes people think things like this, that wealthy Black men only want white women, or that there are not enough Black men, or that, passport bros is I don't know if y'all know what that's about.
We do.
Yeah, that's a thing that all Black men are part of, just because they hear 20 Black men talking about it. All right, that's it.
Well, I want to play this clip. I don't know if this is relevant or not, but I want to play this clip from Ice Cube when he was on oh God, this guy's show. Y'all will see him. Can't think of his name, but I thought it was pretty powerful when he was saying it.
How long have you been married? We've been married since '92, so it's like 32 years. How? Like with the math be? You gotta want it. You just gotta want it, man. I don't want nobody to have my woman, but she mine. I'm hers. The relationship has to have staying power. You don't stay with a person as long as you've been with your person and can honestly say, man, every single day I wake up and it's just doves flying. But who in your life isn't like that? You don't like your mama every day. Some days she get on your nerves. Some days, your brother, sister, people that you love, spend a lot of time with. Every day ain't gonna be roses. Yeah, you can't expect that. It's all about, are y'all family or not? A real commitment, and not looking for all your needs to be met all the time. You gotta be willing to give your time, effort, and love. How long you been married?
That part.
I love that.
I do too. And he's been with his girl who's Black for 34 years, whatever he just said.
Let me tell you something, by the way.
Is he married?
Yeah, he's married. Yeah. A lot of them rappers married to the high school sweetheart. Somebody they met in their early 20s. Okay, same woman. LL Cool J, same thing.
LL Cool J.
Yeah, please, there's people out here. Same person. Jay-Z only been married once.
Okay.
To a Black woman.
Cheated with a white woman.
They're extra wealthy.
Magic Johnson, right?
And Cookie. And listen.
Denzel.
Right.
And his wife.
Right.
Samuel Jackson, his wife.
Right. So what are these people talking about?
What's the little man's name? Spike Lee.
Spike Lee.
Not Kevin Hart. Spike Lee, yes. Just stop pointing at Tiger Woods, who's unsure of whatever he's doing anyway, as like the standard for what Black men are doing.
Yeah, media picks their people, and then and we're supposed to judge everybody else around these people.
Yeah, and
it's unfortunate.
And if we stop doing that, we might have a shot at some things. Hey, Raider Steeler fan, there we go. I believe women who make that speculation about Black men being in prison are the same women that are probably talking about themselves negatively. Absolutely. That's a whole nother, the self-esteem of Black people is a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
It all ties in together.
Yeah. So back to perception. I was having a conversation with a girlfriend of mine. She's probably late 30s, and she was trying to tell me why she only dates white men. And she was just kind of like, yes, statistically, they're not faithful. They don't take care of their families. They don't take care of their children, and it always ends up in divorce. I'm like,
For
wait,
Black men?
yes, ma'am.
Oh.
And I'm like, like something sounds really screwy about what you're saying. So basically, she was saying that statistically, Black men are no good to marry, and that's why she dates the white men. Kind of like, I'm not even going to waste my time because it's going to end up in divorce. They're not going to take care of me. They're not going to take care of my children. They're going to leave us. So let me just like cut right to the chase. And I'm thinking to myself, I love her to death, and I think she's a beautiful person, but don't use those false statistics to justify why you want to date a white man. You want to date a white man, girl, have at it. Enjoy your life. Go get it.
Right.
But don't pull in some bullshit statistics. That's
right.
What the heck are you talking about? I've never heard of this before. And I date white men. Like, you're talking nonsense. What?
Oh, I've heard it.
Right. So there are, even Raider Steeler fans said that. So I feel like there's a lot of people living in their perceptions, living in these false truths, what they believe to be the truth, and trying to justify what they know society might look down upon.
Yeah, those Black women who make that speculation about Black men being down bad are the same women that don't want to step their game up, and they want men to fall in their lap. The typical welfare mindset, and in the general sense of welfare being a handout, not necessarily to me, like the actual food stamp folk.
Right.
But yeah, for those listening who might be going, yeah, I know that's right about your friend. Statistically speaking, again, Black people do not get divorced. White people get divorced at a higher rate than Black people do. Now, the pairing that does get divorced the least, apparently, are white men and Black women. But I would also like to look at the income of those households as well, because I have a feeling that some of that plays into it, as it does for a lot of women making a decision about whether or not to get divorced or not, right? Statistically speaking, when you take white men, Hispanic men, and Black men, I don't remember if Asian men were included in this study, who do not live in the homes, Black men spend more time with their children than white men do. So if there is divorce or separation, Black men are more involved in their children's lives than any other group of people. And the other one, it just.
And again, we grew up hearing quite the opposite, that the Black men run, they leave their kids behind.
No, and absolutely they do not. And every Black man that I know for a fact has either fought for his child. It was the woman, actually, who was doing her best not to have him be in that child's life because she felt a way about the relationship ending. But it was never him trying to walk away. And the other statistic I often hear, for instance, which leads into that Black men walking away, is that Black children are born out of wedlock 75%. The rest of that statistic is firstborn Black children tend to be born out of wedlock at a higher rate. Sometimes teenage pregnancy, or, you're young in your 20s, you're not married. If the mother has subsequent children, those children tend to be of a marriage, of a coupling where the family is together. So that statistic would only almost make it seem like all these Black children are running around here without a father. But no, there's a man who married that woman, and then they went on to have more children together and create a different kind of family. So again, it's how statistics are said. It's really all by design to have us thinking like your friend.
Yeah. That we don't love each other, that we are not bonding, that we're not together, that we're not attracted to each other, the whole thing, that we're just not good. We're not good people, but we are. Yeah. And our men are amazing.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Something about that chocolate.
Good stuff.
Yes, thank you, Raider Steeler fan, for all of your comments. Yeah, that's. I just hopefully what people will take away from this conversation is please don't believe everything you see online.
Right.
Okay, and I really wish Americans would, and I know why, and this is also by design because the school system doesn't teach it. Y'all need to go learn how to do some research, like, and not just like a generative AI. Y'all need to go learn how to look up some papers and look at some statistics and see who's funding the statistics, and do some actual research so that you can start to change how you view the world, because there are so many good Black men and women out there in the world.
Well, that's another topic, Maisha, because these children are not being taught to do any type of research, to do anything for self. They wait for AI to give them the answers. They can't think for themselves. They can't make decisions for themselves. So yeah, that's a different topic.
Much easier to control people when they stop thinking. I really wish people wouldn't just watch The Matrix. I wish they would study it. Every answer you need is in that movie. But it's easy to control people when they stop thinking critically. You can tell them what to do. That's all. And like that dude said in the video, now, you have to think about who's funding our media and what they want us to see, even sometimes with our Black people. Right? What do they want us to see?
And you say that, and I'm thinking about, this. I'm sorry?
What sells is all I was saying.
What sells. And so, Maisha, the first thing that popped into my head was our president-elect and who hangs around him and what social media channels that they have complete control of that we can't put down, right? So I won't
That's
say.
right. Oh, thank you, Brutally,
Again, another
brutally
conversation.
honest. Yes, so many. Brutally Honest Good Bread. I like that name. All right, I'm good. I'm done. I'm complete. I'm complete, as we would say on Clubhouse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Honest
Absolutely.
Good Bread.
Yes. Good evening to everyone who is tuning in to this episode of Black Coffee, Honey, and Grits. This was good, y'all. This was good to talk about, to hash out, to get the fake news out that that Black men don't want us as Black women, because they do, and we want them as well. So and sometimes we don't realize that we're being fed a bunch of crap. We think it is actual fact until we have either these conversations, or until we research on our own, or until we just get to the point where it's like, okay, this isn't true because this isn't what I see around me. Yeah. But the good thing though is that I believe that as we are now in a situation where we really do need to really lean on each other and depend on each other, I think we're looking at each other a little bit differently, and not accepting what other people say we are, or how strong we are. We're not accepting that anymore, because it's not true. It's just not true. And so this is all we have for tonight, ladies. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to add before we close it on out?
No, this was good.
Yeah, no, just thank you, Brutally Honest Good Bread. Said we love y'all too, my sisters.
I know that's right. I know that's right.
It just the words sound like, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So good.
Yes. So, all right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we'll see you on Wednesday. Take care, guys.